What's going on, everybody? How's everybody doing on this beautiful, beautiful Tuesday? It's the holiday season. Fa la 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 la. Hey, I love Christmas time and everything like that. I haven't done a Christmas special yet with the Beeline. I've been on for 3 years. I don't even know what's going on with me. It's just, the Halloween special takes so much out of me, and then after a while, I gotta buy presents and gifts for the kids. I'm just gonna stand and surprise y'all one day. But yeah, listen, it's your boy Brian B. I hope you guys all had a great Thanksgiving. We all ate. I know I ate. I'm still eating that food. I'll be eating it until December. I don't care. Doesn't matter to me. But we got a screen on the screen. I'm very excited about this guest we got on today. He's from where I'm from, New Jersey, baby. I miss home. I'm in Atlanta, Ford, with nothing but the Southerners. The Southerners, they're just cool people. But listen, y'all. It's Tuesday. We got a show to do. That show is called the Beeline Webshow. That's right. It's not the other show, the entertainment show. I love the entertainment shows. Entertainment shows been going so good lately. But listen, we can't do anything until we do this right now. You know what it is. It's the intro. Let's go.
Straight to the point, baby.
It's going down in
3, 2, 1.
People, that's your boy!
Brian B.
Let's go.
Back on the Beeline. I'm looking forward to it. I'm so excited.
Use the influence you have.
Again with strangers!
You gotta be a clean baby's ass.
Hold on real quick.
Knows the hands of fate.
People, it's your boy, Brian B. Welcome to the Beeline Web Show. Let's go. Yes, thank you guys so much. It's been amazing what's been going on. We're at the end of the year. We're wrapping it up, and I'm trying to bring everybody into a close, man. Hope you guys are writing down your Christmas lists and boys and girls for Santa Claus, and he's going to come with his reindeers and his elves. I don't even remember that story anymore. I'm sorry I'm old. I remember believing in Santa. He used to be awesome. But ladies and gentlemen, we got a screen on the screen today. I got a guest with me, and it's going to be an interesting story. Got a lot to tell. He's a funny guy, and he's, like I said, he's coming from where I'm coming from. So without further ado, we have a psychic medium on with us today. One more for the collection. We had a couple on. But let's see what Mr. Artie Hoffman is talking about. How you doing, Mr. Artie? How you doing?
How you doing, my man? How you doing?
Doing pretty good, man. Glad to have you on, man. I want to get to know you on this episode and see what you're talking about. I mean, it's always an interesting topic. I mean, the paranormal, one of my favorite topics of all time. A super huge fan. But go ahead. I want to let you kind of speak a little bit so I can shut my mouth because I'm going to talk a lot. I always talk a lot. But tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I've been doing this now for 34 years as a psychic and a medium. And a psychic is someone, I'll tell you the difference between the two. The psychic is somebody who could predict the past, present, and future. Somebody who talks about the love life, outcomes of situations, medical, legal, love life, personal life, business, finances, relatives, you name it, relationships, anything. That's what a psychic does. A psychic is somebody who follows their gut instincts. You develop a chemistry, if you will. You develop a relationship with an angel or with the spiritual world, and they send you messages and images into your thoughts about whatever's going on. And then you relay the message. So the only reason why any psychic knows anything is because the spiritual world is feeding them information. We don't know the messages ourselves until the information is given to us in the moment. So the better communication skills you have with your angels or the spiritual world or the Holy Spirit, the better, psychic you're going to be. But it's all about following your first gut instincts as far as whatever messages come through without judging it. You just say, if you overanalyze any messages or thoughts, then you lost it. Now, a medium is someone who could communicate to people who have passed away, people who are deceased. But those people really aren't dead. Their spirits and souls are still alive as much as you and I. What has died is their bodies, and once the soul leaves the body, the soul goes into a different dimension. But I communicate to those souls. And usually when I communicate to the other side, because I do private sessions and parties, and I always tell people, if you want me to communicate to the other side, then show me a picture of that person. And I look into their eyes, and then I'm able to see things. When I do things psychically, if I'm reading somebody or they want to talk about anyone who's alive, they just have to ask me a question about it, and then I'll tell them, whatever's going on. So, the more specific the question, the more specific the answers. But there's a lot of times when I do readings, most of the times, I'll just automatically start picking up on thoughts and images about the person. And it goes right into the emotional depth of what they're feeling or what they're going through. I don't always know the detail of what they're going through, but emotionally, I know exactly what they're going through. And so I would probably say the best thing that I do for people is that I give them back their power, because I give them back their power with knowledge of what's going on with life or what's going on behind the scenes. And I tell people information so that they can help change their perspective about themselves, about the other person, about the situation. Because when you're dealing with the truth, then that gives you your power, because now you know how to handle someone or something. And then when I communicate to people who have passed away, I help heal people's hearts. So it's either I'm giving them back their power or I'm helping people heal their heart. And then I also give people the hope when I talk about their future with their love life.
Yeah.
I've given people medical advice, and I didn't even go to Harvard. I didn't go to medical school. And yet the spiritual world will tell me exactly what's going on with the person. I had a really interesting story that happened. I was doing, I do a Facebook live show every Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern time.
Okay.
And I do free readings for 1 hour. It's called Angels and Answers. That's the Facebook live show. So when people go to my Facebook or go to my website, artiehoffman.com, you could click onto it. So a lady called me up about her horse. Now, I don't know. I love horses. They're one of my favorite animals in the whole world, but I don't know jack crap about them as far as medically or, the dynamics of a horse. I just appreciate their beauty and their power. And so she said to me, she texted me a question, and she goes, Art, my horse has not been eating for the last month and has been losing a lot of weight. Do you know what's going on? Because I brought a vet over and he couldn't figure it out. Can you please tell me what's going on with my horse? So I sat there for a moment, for a few seconds, and the spiritual world showed me right away that where the stomach was and where the intestines were, where they meet, the problem was his body had a hard time digesting the food. He had a problem with digesting food, which then from the point of where the stomach is to go into the intestines, that part right there between those two was very inflamed. So whenever he tried to go to the bathroom, the horse, he was in a lot of pain. So when the food was processing from the stomach to the intestines, he was in pain. And when he was letting out his regular, poop or whatever you want to call it, he was in pain. And so I explained that to her, that he has a lot of inflammation going on between the stomach and the intestines. So the following week, the lady followed up with what I had to tell her. And she says, Art, your diagnosis was 100% right on the money. She goes, I had the vet come back out and I told him what you said. And the vet checked out, an x-ray of the horse right in that area.
Gotcha.
And she says, this horse is very inflamed right where his stomach is, where the intestine meets the stomach.
All right, so
He
let's
says,
let's
he said
let's
there's nothing
touch
we
on
could
that.
do. He said there's nothing we could do about it. He says you have to put the horse down. He says you can't cure it.
So okay, so that's a very interesting story. I mean, you just jumped right into that right away. I'm just wow, like so let's touch on that real quick though. So I'm really glad you actually broke down the definition between psychic and medium, because even me having two others psychics or mediums on, I don't know if I'd been broken down to me like that. I didn't even understand that was like the definitions or the terms. But so with your ability, how were you able to discover something like that? Or so your intuition is, or what you're saying led you to that kind of like understanding of what was happening with the horse?
It literally put it this way. This is the best analogy I could give you. You know, when you drive in a car and you're the passenger,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't really have to pay attention because you're the passenger. So you're looking out the window and you're looking at the trees, you're looking at the skies, and your mind just drifts. You go into la la land. So what I do is like I allow my mind to drift when I'm being asked a question or when I want to get psychic. I just blank my mind. And then the spiritual knows when I want to know something. And so they just start, when I blank my mind or I go off into la la land and I'm thinking about nothing other than just the question of what I want to know, all of a sudden the messages will just start coming to me in my thoughts. And then I share it. And there are times where people think that I'm way off the money on what I'm saying. And I'm saying, I'm just telling you what I'm getting. I mean, when I tell you hundreds and hundreds of stories that I could tell, I mean, it would way surpass the time of your show. But so many interesting stories where people denied me. So I got to tell you I'm going to tell you two interesting stories right now that I think you'll appreciate.
Okay.
If you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
So a lady's sitting down. All right, I'm about to do a party. I do what's known as Artie parties. You know, people hire me. I go to their homes and I read for their friends and family.
Got it.
So I'm doing an Artie party and I'm in someone's finished basement. And an older woman sits down in front of me. And she goes, Art, before you start, she goes, I got to tell you something. She goes, you read for me here 2 years ago. And you told me that I need to start playing the scratch offs, or I need to start playing the lottery, or I need to start going to Atlantic City because you saw me winning thousands of dollars. She goes, and I told you that I am not a gambler and I still don't gamble. But let me tell you what happened 6 months after your reading. She goes, 6 months later was my birthday. And so I had my boys come over to my house to help celebrate my birthday. She had 3 boys. And so one of her sons got her a birthday card, and inside the birthday card was a $2 scratch off lottery, a $2 birthday scratch off. He got her 5 of them.
Yeah.
She says, my first $2 scratch off lottery. She goes, I won $50,000.
Listen, bro, you need to start talking to me more than
Uh-huh.
I need that
So
shit in
that
my
was-
life right now.
So like I said, I saw her winning thousands of dollars. And I said, you need to either buy the lottery tickets or you need to go to Atlantic City because I saw you winning thousands of dollars. And lo and behold, like I said, her son's the one who brought it to her, and magic happened, you know.
You want to know what's crazy though with this? I know you have another story to tell, but I kind of want to touch on it a little bit. So with that, you saw her winning thousands of dollars. Like that was like, the reason you basically invented what needed to happen next in the story or whatever. Is that the correct kind of way of looking at it? Because if you just told her, like, I see you winning thousands of dollars, but then she never went and gambled, that never would have happened. Or would it have happened in a different way? That's interesting.
Put it this way, I feel like it was inevitable that it would have happened. I don't create the future for people. I see it and I tell it. Put it this way, right now, if you could picture what your bedroom looks like right now,
yeah,
the image that you have, that's how I see. If you have the video in your head right now of your last vacation or the thought of you waking up this morning and getting ready to start your day, the video you have going on in your head now.
Yeah.
So that's how I see. I get videos in my head. I get thoughts in my head. The spiritual world will send me videos or send me pictures or images in my head instantly. Sometimes they will send me images of friends or family who I haven't seen in years, but whatever is going on with that person is going on with the person who I'm reading about. So if the person who all of a sudden they were going through some hard times, or they were an alcoholic, or they were a super nice guy, or they were very theatrical, so I'll talk about that person of the past, but it has to do exactly with the person I'm talking about, because they're giving me that image. So they send me thoughts and images and pictures in my head. A lot of times they'll send me songs in my head, and I'll start singing the song, or whatever that song about is going on, whatever song they send me in my head, that's what's going on with the person. And I'll give you a perfect example.
Mm-hmm.
So a lady who I'm reading for, I'll never forget, her name was Vivian. It happened, maybe 12 years ago, maybe 15 years ago. And she said to me, so her reading was just about over with me. And she says, all right, let me just ask you something. She goes, what do you see going on with my relationship with my husband? And in that moment, I heard a song by Stevie Wonder in my head. That's me and you, part-time lover. And I heard that song in my head as soon as she asked that question. And I said, I hate to tell you, I said, I feel like he's cheating on you. And she goes, I think you're right. I said, no, I know I'm right, because I don't listen to Stevie Wonder. And that song I haven't heard in a long time. I said, so there's a reason for me to all of a sudden hear that song, and that's what's going on. So
that's really interesting, man. It's a hell of a thing. And I'm like I said, I'm thinking about it to myself, because I actually take pride in myself and really believe firmly that I'm very good at reading people, judging people's character, kind of like intuition. I'm like, I don't need a lot to know what's going on. That's the best way I can. My kids know hard. I don't need a lot of evidence to know what the hell is going on. I'm one of them type of people. I can read the situation pretty well. So it's like, when I hear things like this, you know what I mean? I'm a firm believer of energy and spiritual, realms, and a lot of that stuff or whatever. But I'm trying to figure out what's like the levels, because you do have intuition. You do have people who can see a situation, read the room quickly. And then there's other people who can't really see shit, no matter how clear it is, vivid it is in their face even. And they still can't get it without direct technical, given to them in that way. So it's like, where is the parameter with the shit? Because it's like, for you, it sounds like your intuition is just on level 10. You know what I'm saying? Like, I look at my intuition, I got to be at least a 5, because I pick stuff up pretty well. Is that part of it? Do you think that's the ability?
I'm sure it's more than a 5.
I hope so. I mean, I'm trying to be,
I'm sure it's more than a 5. You're probably at, I would say, a level at least a level 7.
Okay, that's thank you. I appreciate it. But
so there was a lady I'm doing a reading for, and it was at her own house. All right, she was the one having the party, and she made herself last. So I was in her home office inside the house. That's where I was reading people.
Okay.
And so she sat down in front of me, and I always tell people, I said, you can record your sessions with me. I say a lot of things. You're not going to remember everything I have to say. So I always tell people you can record your sessions. So I said to the lady, I said, oh, wow. She goes, as I'm looking at the cards, I said, I see you're going to be going away on a cruise. Excuse me. She goes, no, I'm not. I go, yeah, you're going away on a cruise. And she's looking at me with a smile. She goes, I think you're wrong on this one, Art. I said, no. I go, let me be more specific. You're going away on a Carnival cruise. And she goes, yeah, okay, whatever. She goes, what else you got for me? So I started telling her more things about her reading. So after her reading was over, she gets out, I'm getting ready to clean up everything, now get my cards together and all, because the party's now over.
Yeah.
And she starts walking down the hallway, walking into the kitchen where her friends and family were waiting for her. So of course they all said, what did Artie say? What did Artie say? As they all say. And she said, her first thoughts were, Artie says I'm going on a cruise. They all started laughing their ass off, because she didn't know that her husband was in the next room surprising her for their 30th wedding anniversary. He was on the computer booking a Carnival cruise for them
Holy crap.
in that moment.
Wow, that's crazy. I know that had been a hell of a like, I told you. I told you so. Don't doubt me.
Yeah, there was another time where I was doing a reading for this one lady. Again, she was the lady of the party. She was, I did a reading for her. And again, she was last, because most hosts usually make themselves last. And so I said, your mother's pulling through right now. She said, you need to play the number 147. It's coming out soon. She goes, all right, after the reading is over, I'll have my husband go down the block to the Quickie Mart store and get a lot and buy the lottery ticket. So her reading was over and she walks down the hallway. She's in the living room. Her husband's has the TV clicker and he's sitting on the ottoman watching the TV. And she goes, hon, she goes, my mom pulled through. She said, you need to go to the store down the block and buy a lottery ticket 147. And he started to laugh and he has the clicker in his hand. He goes, it's too late. 147 just came out.
Oh, damn. That's interesting. That's actually another good point. I actually got a couple questions I want to ask you. You're rapid firing the stories here, but you're giving me ideas while you're saying this stuff. Let me ask you. That's a good principle. I'm pretty sure, like, somebody who can, predict things and say things like that, and like, see different images and stuff. Do you get a lot of people who are asking you things like that? Hey, what's the lottery numbers? And hey, what's this or whatever? Where am I gonna get my next job and all that stuff or whatever? Like when you do your readings.
As far as jobs, I could say if somebody's actually asking me for the lottery numbers, I can't give it. It has to come through spiritually. It has to come through unconditionally spiritually. If someone's asking me, oh, hey, Art, who's going to win this game? Or Art, who's going to win this or that? Or what's the lottery numbers? I can't do that. That's ego-based. But when the spiritual world, see, her mother was giving her a gift. Her mother was giving her a gift. So she gave her a little gift of a lottery number to let her know that she's there. And I've given out well over 100 winning lottery numbers or situations. So
It's interesting.
as far as with gambling, because it just pulls through naturally. But when people ask me for it, I can't do it. I can't. But when
have you ever had like for yourself? Like I
mean, I've hit on
get up on
numbers myself. I've hit on gambling situations or numbers of myself, but I'm like everybody else. Sometimes I'm on a hot streak and I'll hit a few back to back. And then there are times I'll go months without jack crap, nothing, but no, that's all ego based. So I can't do it. If that was really the case for myself, I'd be a billionaire right now, just like a lot of other psychics would be.
Yeah, very true. Very true. All right. You kind of took over the show at the beginning. I'm gonna try to take it back a little bit. Listen, that was awesome. That was a lot of interesting information, a lot of stories and stuff right there. You really like define what you do. So now I got a question for you, man. So how did you find out that you had this ability? Like, what was the beginning like?
Well, I wasn't born with it, I'll tell you that much. I didn't know until I was 27 years old.
Oh, wow.
I was very frustrated in my life at that time when I was about 27. And I had everything going right in my life. I had my own business. I'm married. I have a beautiful home. I have lots of friends. My family loved my wife. My wife's family loved me. Everything was going great, but I wasn't fulfilled inside. And I just felt like there was more to my life than what I was doing or how my life was.
Yeah.
And I literally was sitting in my home office downstairs in my home. And I'm having a conversation with God. I said, God, I need answers. I need clear answers. I said, please don't scare the hell out of me when you give me these answers. I said, but I need answers about my life. So the next day, I walk into my kitchen after work and I'm looking at the kitchen counter. There's a bunch of junk mail there. And there was a piece of, there was a postcard there. And it said, how would you like to develop your psychic ability and intuitiveness? Come to the Edgar Casey Foundation for this one weekend seminar in Virginia Beach. So I looked at it and I said to my wife, I said, this looks pretty interesting. I said, who was my wife at the time? I said, this looks pretty interesting. I said, you want to try it? I said, it looks pretty cool. She goes, no, I don't give a shit about that. She goes, you can go if you want. I don't want to go. So hence the ex-wife. So I went.
you just read my mind right now because I was just thinking that she was like,
Yeah.
oh, well, that's why you're out of here then.
Yeah, we're on two different wavelengths, her and I,
Yeah.
So I went away for that one weekend seminar, and there was about 50 of us from all different parts of the country in this one large room. And they taught you how to open up your heart and mind to be 100% unconditional while they're playing this beautiful celestial spiritual music in the background and talking about spirituality and God and the angels. And they put you in this beautiful state of mind. And it was awesome. And so they said, all right, when you break up into little groups, whoever you're sitting with, just share your thoughts with that person and let them know what you're getting. And they said, don't second guess it. Don't judge it. Just share it and give it. That's it. And people were telling me how accurate I was with the information I was giving them as they were doing back to me. And I was like blown out of the water that I could meet somebody for the very first time who I never met before. And I'm able to tell them stories and things about themselves, what they're going through, or physically, emotionally.
Yeah.
And so I went home and I got myself a deck of spiritual cards. And I started reading for friends and family just for the fun of it for the next few years. And then I got to a point in my life where I needed to make some extra money and I didn't know what to do. And I wasn't thinking that I was going to make extra money doing this. So anyway, but I was sitting there in my couch and I'm thinking, what can I do to make some extra money other than it was all for investment purposes.
Yeah.
Thinking, I said, you know what? I know how to do readings. So I threw an ad in the paper and it said, if I don't pull through, no charge. And so 90% of the people paid me. And the other 10% of the people I had to kill. No, I'm not kidding.
Or is he?
So through word of mouth, and a little more advertising, a whole career came out of it. And as I started to read more and more people, as I started to spiritually grow, I had a very difficult time keeping relationships because I kept on growing at a very fast pace spiritually. And my partners in life were not used to having so many women around me because most of my clients are women. And I'm reading them. It's all done with the highest good. It's nothing promiscuous, but I'd be getting a lot of, oh, Artie, that was great. Or I love you. You're the best. Blah, 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 blah. And whoever I was with was kind of getting sick and tired of hearing it, And so not appreciating fully they loved what I did for them because I was making good money at doing what I was doing, but they weren't able to appreciate the light and the spirit of how I was changing people's lives and making so many people happy. They just got jealous. A lot of them just got jealous or felt very intimidated. And so every single time I was with a girl and if she showed jealousy or possessiveness over me, I had to let them go because then they were caging me and I couldn't stay in a relationship like that. So I ended up just, moving on and moving on and moving on. And I really wanted just one girl just to share my life with, to share good experiences with. And so far I have yet to find somebody who's fully physically and emotionally available, who's very spiritual, who could grow with me. I'm looking for that one special person where there's that dynamic chemistry. Do you
think you'd be able to?
It's frustrating to be me. It's frustrating to keep a healthy relationship, being a psychic or a medium. And that's for most of them, not all of them, but most of them. If you're not comfortable within yourselves in a relationship, because there are a lot of trust issues and stuff, but it's just frustrating. It really is.
Do you think you'd be able to handle like a relationship or have a decent relationship with another psychic or a medium?
Yeah, I would. I feel like I would be able to, because they would be able to understand me more.
Yeah.
And as we could share in the same kind of experiences, but also there are mediums or psychics that I met, and they're too like flighty, toity out there. I'm like grounded. I'm very spiritual and I'm very grounded at the same time. So I have the best of both worlds. Whereas some people's too extreme. I met lots and lots of psychics and mediums who are very, very nice people. But sometimes some people, they only speak or know of just the spiritual world. They're not, grounded enough for me. or some people are so grounded where they can't relate to angels and spirits and God and all this other, spirituality and, and talking to dead people. They can't relate to all that. They think it's cool when they see me do it, but it's like they have a hard time supporting me, I would say. And if you're in a healthy relationship, you definitely need the support. Love just won't carry it. You need trust and support besides love to make a relationship work.
It's real interesting. I'm paying attention to you're talking right now and everything. And one thing I am noticing is you are talking a lot about relationships. Is it something that you really, really think about? Like, is it, I know you said you were married and it was ex-wife at this time, and you've just made it clear that you've had multiple partners since then, but is it a big thing for you? Are you looking to like, hey, I really wish I could have somebody that I can really, share my life
No,
with?
I really wish I could have somebody. It's like, put it this way. I have friends and my brothers, they've been with the same people since the Johnson administration, since forever.
Yeah.
And so they live, some of my friends and maybe my brothers, maybe they do, maybe they don't, live through me because the variety of life, having different women. I'd rather just have one girl, to be honest with you, just to grow with.
Yeah.
Because you're dealing with a lot of different personalities at that level. You're dealing with a lot of different expectations.
Yep.
And I'd rather just settle with somebody who's really cool, who could appreciate me and is on the same wavelength. And
yeah.
And I just, so listen, it has its perks and it has its setbacks.
It's always the shoe on the other foot, bro. And you know what? It's crazy. I didn't even think we were going to be having this conversation on this show right here, but it's interesting that similar to you, like I have my cousins, are, I was always wild. I was always free. I was always out doing whatever. And I did a lot. I had a lot of fun, a lot of good experiences. And as I got older, I grew up, I had kids, and I'm with somebody, we're going to get married, and this is where I'm going to be. I'm pretty sure. Don't tell me if I'm not. All right. But
I promise.
It's one of the things where it's like, I see my cousins and they didn't have as much freedom when they were younger. Like they kind of lived through me vicariously because they saw me wilding out and doing whatever I was doing. But now it's like the shoes on the other foot. They're bachelors and they're almost 40 as well. And they're running around doing whatever they're doing and stuff like that. And I don't look at them like I miss that. Because I have that understanding of like, well, I know what that is. Like you just said, meeting people consistently, man, and just constantly have to go on that interview process with people constantly back and forth. I don't miss that. I am happy like being able to be with somebody, but you are right. There are certain freedoms of like, meeting somebody new and that fun experience that you have. It is something, but they tell me the same thing. Like, I'm like, well, they're fun. Like, especially when you get in an argument or something like that. Oh, I wish I could just go have fun and run around and do whatever. But then they say, yeah, but I wish I had somebody to settle down with and come home with and shit like that or whatever. So it is funny how it's like, the one wants what the other has and the other wants what the other got or whatever that phrase is.
You always want what you don't have.
Yeah, man, it's weird. Like, it's funny when you just said that because it spoke to me because I was literally like, I love where I am in life now, but I do remember how much fun it was to go out and, just meet different girls and, have fun and just, just be the life of the party and not have responsibilities like that. But then I think like, this is what's crazy with me. I'll be trying to like fantasize. I ain't gonna lie. I'll be trying to fantasize and stuff like that or whatever and think about, girls on TV, whatever, and it's weird because I'm in a relationship now where it's like, well, what about my kids? I can't even like they just broke me. I can't even like think about stuff or whatever. I can't think like, oh, if I'm marrying Beyonce or something like that or whatever. What about my kids? Where are they gonna be? What about my wife? Like, where is she gonna be? I can't even fantasize anymore. So it's like you have a weird kind of understanding as you start getting older in different situations.
Well, what happens is that your values change and your perspective changes. Yeah. As you start to grow through new experiences in life, your values do change.
Yeah.
So if you are lucky enough to find the right one like you did and like others people did, then you know what, your values change and what's important to you now changes. And so you have a new set of happiness that comes your way. And it's not just riding life in the fast lane. Now I'm more happy and content riding in this lane. It worked for you back then, but as you mature and grow, there's other things that you find more important than you did when you were younger. And then from this point, later on in life, 10, 20 years from now, your values could change again.
Yeah, that's what's crazy, man. And then
As
people's
far as
values
what's
change.
important to you.
That's why relationships are so difficult, because that's even what I'm experiencing now. Like, it's just, people change. People continuously change, for the most part. And that's why, like, being in a relationship is so difficult, because you don't just stop, man. I mean, most people don't just stop changing. The longer you're with somebody, the more changes, even the world's changing around you. So it's like, you have to adapt with each other. You have to go through it with each other, and you do have to make, assessments and understandings with each other that, hey, this is how I was before. Can you deal with me now? And it's crazy now more than ever, because of all the, ways we have to stay connected with people and information, instantly all the time. So it's like people are changing even faster than they ever have before, in my opinion. But relationships are definitely challenging, man. I mean, I can't believe I have a psychic medium on it. I'm still talking about relationships and shit.
Well, it is
How
because,
important it is, right?
relationships is a I would say the number one topic that people like to talk about when they come to see me. I mean, other than their kids or, with the relationship, the job, but relationship is usually the number one thing. A lot of people want to know about their career moves, or about, again, about their children, or should I invest in this? Yes or no, or, but relationships is a very hot topic. And something, every time I do an interview, wherever I'm at, I never know what I'm going to talk about. Like, I didn't come in here thinking at all that I was going to talk about relationships. It's just where it happened to go. But there's enough people in your audience. Obviously, I needed to talk about this, that people need to relate to it. People needed to hear what they needed to hear. And I would probably say the biggest mistake that people do in a relationship is that they allow themselves to grow comfortable in the uncomfortableness. They allow that when they're not happy, they learn just to deal with it, rather than to improve things or to change things.
Yeah.
So it's either you improve
Very
it
true.
or you should move out of it, rather than just growing comfortable in the uncomfortableness. And also the reason why people stay together is also because of codependency reasons, whether it be emotionally or financially, they stay codependent, and that's not good. What can make you at your happiest? Making yourself self-sufficient. If you can make yourself self-sufficient financially, then you got the world by the balls. You do.
Yeah, man.
Because you can make healthier choices when you're self-sufficient. But when you are living your life and you're codependent on your partner for them to pay for everything or most things, then they feel very vulnerable, especially if the relationship starts going south.
Yeah, very true.
So, but when you're self-sufficient, you feel there's a lot more confidence in you as a person, and then also within the relationship. So it's very important for both parties to feel very self-sufficient. And a lot of times people, when you're so in love or so obsessed with the other person, people have a habit of living through their partner rather than sharing their life with their partner. They tend to live too much through their partner, making them responsible for all their happiness. You should have your life, you have your life, they have their life, and then we have our life
together.
So it's important to have individual lives, but also share the beauty of what you share in common with each other.
Yeah, man, that's very true. I mean, listen, I hope y'all listening out there. Because that is very true, man. It is one of the biggest things that you hear about. A lot of times people have problems, like you're just saying right now. People don't give each other enough space. People give each other too much space, that too.
Right. And a lot of it turns into trust issues too. And again, like I said before, if you don't have trust in a relationship, you do not have a relationship. You could love your partner out of 10, but if you don't trust your partner, if they don't trust you, you don't have a relationship. And, that's where you probably need to go to a counselor. But the only time a counselor works, if both parties really want to go to the counselor to fix it. But if one person wants to go and the other one doesn't, or the other one's going just to appease the other partner, that's not good enough. Both parties need to want to go to a counselor equally the same, and not just because they're being dragged into it or feel
Yeah.
obligated.
Yeah,
You
a
know,
lot of times, just to speak on that too. I mean, I've witnessed a couple of people that I even know, where they use the counselor as kind of like an excuse. Like I think sometimes people have problems, and because that's an option, of course, I'm not saying that you don't want to fix it or whatever, but sometimes I think people just try to do that because it's available. Hey, let's just go see a counselor. Hey, we got this going on. Let's just go see a counselor instead of actually taking the time to see if they can work things out. I personally think that you should try as hard as you can to make things work as much as you can on your own. I'm not saying you have all the answers. I know that there's a need for counseling or, further assistance, but I think sometimes people don't try hard enough to make things work on their own, and then they become dependent on an outside party interfering and assisting the relationship.
well, one of the issues, wait, well, I want to interrupt you for a second. One of the issues with that is that a lot of times one person doesn't feel like the other, they're not being heard by their partner. So, when you're explaining and the other person, yeah, or they're shutting them out, when you have one person that's a communicator and the other person is not, or the other person's really not, caring enough, it's like, it's very frustrating when you're not on the same page. If two people are not on the same page, that's when it's important to go to a counselor. So then you have somebody on the outside, a referee, who's able to see one person's side and see the other person's side and help translate in a language where both parties don't feel like they're being defensive.
Yeah.
Because when you're arguing or complaining or even explaining about your situation, a lot of times the other partner has defensive walls. And so they're not willing to listen because you're not listening to me, what's important to me, and you want just what's important to you. So that's why it takes a referee and a counselor to say, all right, I hear what you're saying and I hear what you're saying. So they're able to be the transmitter for both of them so that maybe they could understand each other better from an outside source.
Yeah.
So it's very healthy when you want to be able to, if you're able to communicate to your partner or vice versa, where the two of you could really listen to what's important to the other side and not just your feelings, but explain that a problem is whenever I explain my problems or issues, the other person will attack me. Or they'll be offensive because, well, what are you talking like that for? That's stupid. Rather than saying, oh, hon, I didn't realize you were hurting, or I didn't realize that was going on, or that, so they go, I'm sorry. It's like a realization. So let me make some adjustments. So that's the healthy way. But too many times when somebody within their relationship is explaining their feelings or what's not right, the other person attacks them, their vulnerabilities. And usually they attack them because their defense is their offense, because they either are covering up guilt or they're covering up vulnerabilities that they wish not to even go there, even with their own partner. And with your own partner is the person who you should feel comfortable feeling most vulnerable with, because that's a trust. So, but when somebody says, oh, listen, if I'm not going to no counselor, it's like, if we can't figure it out ourselves, we should be able to figure it out ourselves. We don't need no counselor.
Yeah. And you can't. That's why I'm trying to say, for
it's an
sure.
Option. It's an option.
It is an option. But I do know, like I'm saying, you definitely have to have the knowledge to know when it is available, and it is available. And I know it helps a lot of people. But I know a couple people who literally have just oh, we just need counseling. And it's just the instant, we just need counseling. Have you tried to kind of speak to each other and try to get out of each other's way and, actually talk? And I've dealt with a couple different situations where I've seen it, where it's just people are constantly looking for an out. Oh, we got this problem. We need to go do the same thing with pills and shit. Oh, well, we got this. Let's go take a pill for it. It's like there is, I think, a problem with people not having enough self-confidence in their relationship or in themselves, where they are constantly looking for something to assist instead of trying to strengthen within. But it can't, you're absolutely right. It can't always happen that way. You know, a lot of times people
You know
aren't.
what my ex-wife said? You know, this is while we were in our, because we were talking about relationships in general. Not that we were having problems at that time, but she said something very funny that I'll never forget. And this is a line that you'll never forget. And you know, she was very frustrated because her ex-husband, my ex-wife, well, when she was married before me, her ex-husband cheated on her and stuff. And she goes, you know why it always seems greener on the other side of the fence? Because it's fertilized with bullshit.
Yeah. Good point, man.
You know, it always seems
Yeah.
greener. But at the same token, what happens is that when your partner is not satisfying you in certain ways, they might cover a lot of other aspects of your life, which is really cool when it comes to family responsibilities. But when it comes to your own emotional desires or sexual desires or emotional needs, when you go to someone else, that someone else is not dealing with all the realities of all of life's circumstances.
Exactly.
They're
Yep.
only dealing with Disney World. They're only dealing
Yep.
with the Disney park of the playfulness of the personalities.
Yep.
And everything is cool because you're not throwing in any financial stress or
Nope.
any family stress
Kids
or
or
health
this and
issue or
that.
kids or whatever.
Money
All
problems.
it is playtime. So other people will seem very, very lovable, very attractive to you, or vice versa, because you're only dealing with just the playfulness and the friendliness of the chemistry of the personalities.
Yeah.
So that's very attractive. So and a lot of people miss those teenage years, that loving feeling of when you first got together with your partner and when you guys used to have that kind of fun, and then responsibilities came
Yeah,
in,
man.
and now you got to try to figure all that out, how to make everything kind of work. And so people lose that. So when people come to see me for a reading and say, hey, Art, you know, I'm married, but I'm seeing this other person, where do you see it? And I'll say, you know, there are times, and this is, now mind you, what I say, each individual reading is different. I don't say the same thing to every single person because there's different rules to every relationship. So there are times I'll say to somebody, well, this person who you really like a lot on the side, I'm just telling you that they will not fulfill your needs in the big picture because they're not responsible enough, or they're going to end up cheating on you. I said, right now, they're a good relief pitcher. I said, they're not the kind of pitcher that will go the whole game with you.
Exactly.
But as far as a relief pitcher, they're a good relief pitcher. But if you take the relief pitcher and try to put them in as a starter in your game, you're going to be disappointed.
Yeah, man. Very true shit right there.
Or I'll say it like this. They're a good dessert, but if you take dessert and try to make it as your main course,
you ain't gonna be happy.
You're gonna get a stomach ache. You're gonna get all screwed up inside.
For real, man. Yeah, that's a really, really good way to put it, man. It's absolutely true. I mean, yeah, you always want what you can't have, man. And then when you get it, you understand why it's not,
it
like,
always
you know,
seems enticing. But some relationships suck that much where they should not be in the relationship.
That's the point, for
all.
sure. Yep.
You
You
know?
do have,
And
it's hard to know when to call it quits, man. But I mean, certain things are like,
because
you know,
there's a
definitely
lot of
apparent.
emotional attachments involved.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of commitment also, man. Even a lot of times, like you said it before, sometimes people do be in relationships for the wrong reasons and they stay for the wrong reasons, but commitment is hard, man. Commitment is hard. Like, it's hard dealing with somebody feeling like you put in so much time, whether it be a job, whether it be anything, you know, an outfit that you really like, you know, I wore this, you know, these boots got me through the summertime, whatever. Like, you know, it's commitment is hard. You know, you'll try to, a lot of times people also don't like to feel like they're quitting something. They don't like to feel like they didn't try hard enough. You know, there's a lot of different reasons why people make decisions to, you know, continue doing something, even if it isn't the best thing.
They look at moving on as, oh, I failed my marriage. I don't want to fail my marriage.
Yeah.
Like my parents. I don't want to feel like a failure. No, it's not a failure. Actually, you're doing something right. I'll give you an example. My parents were married for 62 years, and probably 60 of them were unhappy. Seriously. But they grew up in this stage in that era where you stick through thick and thin. But if you're not happy, and I saw my mother, how she lived so many years being miserable with my father. And so, I vowed to myself, know when the show is over. So I did give it my all with each relationship that I was in. And I tried, and I probably stayed in there longer than I should have, but I really gave it my all. But then I said, you know what? It's not good enough. And I went on to someone else. And it was great for so many years. And guess what? And then it wasn't good enough. But like I said, I was spiritually growing, and I thought I had the right person. And at the time I did, but not everybody is meant to be in your life for a lifetime. Some of it's for a good time. Some of it's for a lifetime, you know,
learning experience, all of that.
Right. Every single relationship is different. So I learned from my parents, from my mother, that if you're not happy, you don't have to remain miserable for the rest of your life. And the thing that really hurts a lot of people, the biggest mistake that people make, is that they're always trying to meet up to everyone else's expectations, regardless, at the expense of their own happiness. Well, they're going to be disappointed in me, or I'm going to let them down, or whatever. But you're not responsible for everyone else's happiness and their choices and their decisions. I'm not doing what I'm doing to hurt you. I'm doing this because this is what feels right in my heart, and I need to move on.
For sure. Yeah, man. Definitely.
Now, other people might get affected by your choices, or be unhappy by your choices, or be inconvenienced by your choices. But I'm not doing this to hurt you. But that's your choice to feel that way.
For sure.
But I can't stay here, because I'm going to get physically and emotionally sick by staying in this relationship if I try to meet up to everyone else's expectations.
Yeah.
So I pick up, so much psychically on people's feelings and emotions with, like I said, relationships, with their job, with their kids, with their health, with everything and anything, and I also tell people what their future love is going to look like. I feel very blessed. I give people back their power. And like I said, I tell everybody, record your sessions. I say so many things, you're not going to remember everything I have to say.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, man. I mean, I really enjoyed the conversation we were just having right now. Like, yeah, I mean, it is good to hear something, man. Like, a lot of times, you know what I mean? Like, especially when you're dealing, like we just said, like the relationship, we started out talking about, like, what you're doing, but relationships are such a big part of life, man. It's like, I mean, you can completely choose to shut them off. People just don't want to deal with them. There are people who just like being alone. They like living life. And even at times I understand that, man. I understand that. But I love my situation and how I'm in my situation, and wherever it goes, that's just where it goes. But I do like being with somebody. But I mean, it just is what it is, man. It's to each his own. Enjoy life, live it to the fullest. You only get one. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, but it's really cool. I wanted to ask you one more thing. I didn't realize we were talking for like an hour already. But I wanted to ask you, so back onto, like, kind of the psychic tip or whatever. Have you ever had, and this hopefully, I don't know if anybody ever asked you this, but have you ever had like some really, like, maybe demonic or evil kind of experiences?
Not to me personally, per se. But I've experienced other people go through it, or I've had people who have such dark energy that, again, just because they came to see me, they say that they want new answers. But the thing is, they don't really, you have to change your ways to be able to shake off the negative spirits around you, the negative energy around you. So have I ever had personally demonic shit happening to me? No, I've had spiritual experiences happen to me, but subtle things turn on and off by itself, the TV or the lights or whatever. I had things appear in my place where I know for a fact I didn't put it there, but it was taken from me and then it was put back. And that was spiritually, and I know a lot of people watching, they've had that experience.
Yeah, heard a lot
but
of that.
I wouldn't call that demonic. I would just say the spirits are screwing with me, but just having fun.
Yeah. It's interesting, man. Very interesting. I mean, I'm terrifying. I've never personally had it, but like I said, I used to study like a lot of different, like, spiritual stuff and paranormal events and things like that or whatever. And it's funny that it's still like such a debate on if it's real or not, man. I mean, I figure it's so much evidence, just like
Wait, what's real?
UFOs or so, paranormal, like spirits
Oh,
and
it's
ghosts and
1,000% real.
well, but you still have debates if it is or not, though. That's what's crazy. Like I'm with you. Like I completely think. I mean, not even think. I could. Well, I guess I gotta say think. You don't want to be that person, but I'm completely a believer that it's absolutely real. I think we have more than enough evidence to know that it's at least something. You can't dismiss it now. But people are, even with, like I said, even with like the UFOs and like the unidentified stuff, and we're starting to come into like an understanding as humanity, I guess, or whatever, as we're getting the information right in our face now. And I think because we're so opinionated at this point, we're still deciding to say, oh no, never mind, no, I don't want to believe that, I don't have to believe it. But we're definitely finding out.
I believe that people who don't believe are either scared or they have a hard time. Either they're scared, or when they don't understand things beyond their comprehension, that it's not real.
Yeah.
So if they don't understand it, or if they fear it, it's like, oh, that's not real, or that's bullshit, until they personally experience it themselves. And they do the same thing, even not just paranormal, but even with God. People doubt whether God exists because they say, well, if God really exists, then why is there all this pain and suffering, and with all these kids and all these, trafficking with the children and all this other crap, and you have to remember, God gave everyone free will. And God doesn't stop anybody from anything happening. It's all our own personal choices as far as to do something or not to do something, or to make something better. It's a conscious level on a public level to make something work or not work. The only reason why there's starvations or all this crap going on in the world, it's all because of power and politics. It has nothing to do with that God didn't provide enough water or food or resources for us. It's just greed and power by people, And so, God, like I said, gave everyone free will. And so every single time you or the listeners, whenever you cheated out of something, or you stole for a moment, or you lied about something, God never stopped you from doing that. He allowed it to happen because this is something that you have to deal with within your own self, within your own life, within your own soul. Yeah. You have to deal with, and God allows everything to happen. So it's the same thing, so Jesus supposedly is the Son of God, and God did not stop the beating of Jesus, his own son. He allowed it to happen. So if he allowed it to happen with Jesus, why would he stop it from other circumstances happening? Not that he wanted it to happen, but that was the thought process, the mentality back then of people who are negative, and they tried to stop them through conversation or try to do rhyme and reason or logic with them, but they wanted what they wanted. And so he was beaten, but God didn't stop it. He could have stopped it. Jesus could have stopped it, but he didn't want to work against other people's free will. He was hoping that they would just naturally stop it, but they didn't,
Yeah, apparently they did not, man. But that's
so
very
I want to
interesting.
share with you something funny that I wrote. I wrote 2 books.
Oh, okay.
One is called Angels and Answers. All right. And you're going to think that I wrote this book just for you. There's so many aha moments. I talk about a lot of deep subjects in this book called Angels and Answers. Yeah. All right. And if you go to artiehoffman.com, or if you go to amazon.com, you can get it. But you're going to have so many aha moments that totally make sense. And I explain things on a very simplistic level. And I also wrote a book called Have Your Angels Call My Angels. And this book is going to give you back your power. And this explains a lot about relationship within yourself, to give you back your self-esteem, your self-confidence, your relationship with your lover, with your kids, with your coworkers, with your friends. This explains life on a very big time level. So again, awesome. I talk about deep subjects, but I explain things in a very simplistic manner. And in this I want to read this one small part that I think you're going to appreciate.
Okay.
And it's called, It Makes Me Laugh. All right. It makes me laugh when people tell me that they don't believe in God. And I say to them, so when your kid sneezes, instead of saying, God bless you, what do you say? Better luck next time?
Well, they don't say anything. That's usually what they say.
Yeah, they don't say anything. So like I said, you say you don't believe in God, so your kid sneezes. It's like, instead of saying God bless you, what do you say? Well, better luck next time.
Better luck this time.
But
That's funny. That's awesome.
But everyone's entitled to their thoughts and opinions.
At the end of the day, man.
When somebody is very staunched on their opinion or their thoughts, I don't argue with them. I just listen to what they have to say or a perspective.
That's all you can do.
I don't have to agree with them. I say, I understand why you said what you said. I understand you. When I say I understand you, I don't necessarily mean I agree with you. All I'm saying is I'm taking the time out to listen to you.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying is I understand how you feel, or I understand your thought process.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, man. It's been really, really interesting talking to you, man. I thought we were gonna be talking about a lot of different things, and I didn't realize like this was gonna go into this conversation. But it's really, really, really good talking to you. It even got me thinking about some different things and in life, and definitely more appreciative even after this conversation. Beeline, hope you guys kind of experience the same thing, man. It's around the holidays, feeling good and everything. It's beautiful. But hey, if you guys if somebody wants to get in touch with you and like know exactly where to book you, because you're calling out of New Jersey, right? That's where you're doing most of your bookings?
And I'm just as accurate over the phone as I am in person. I'm in
Oh,
Woodbridge,
wow.
New Jersey, Central Jersey. And I do travel to do Artie parties and events and fundraisers. And I do give, people want gift certificates for their loved ones for the holidays. So if you want my book, or if you want to reach to me personally, if you want a piece of me in person or over the phone, my time, I'll give you quality time. You can call me at 732-778-7173. And I'll repeat it, 732-778-7173. Or you could check me out at Artie Hoffman at Gmail. You could email me or go through me in Messenger, Artie Hoffman. Also join my TikTok, which is Artie Hoffman with 5 7s, Artie Hoffman 77777.
Got it. I'm gonna put out all the links and everything. Once again, Beeline, you know how it is. We're gonna put everything in the description.
The Instagram too, Artie Hoffman. Yeah. So
I
have inspirational messages on my Facebook and my Instagram. I have inspirational messages every single morning. Sometimes it's a video and sometimes it's sayings.
Beautiful. Okay, that's really good. Yeah, I'm going to follow you. I love stuff like that because you need it every now and then. I'm a hothead, so it's like every time I need to calm down and relax. I like reading something motivational. I've been telling everybody recently, like, what's been really like bringing me down to earth lately? Like nostalgia, man. Nostalgia, like back in the day stuff, like every time I'm feeling bad or whatever, like just thinking back on like something I did when I was a kid, or just like even like a snack that I ate when I was a kid or something like that from back in the day. That stuff's been like mellowing me lately a lot, man. I love it too, because I'm not like a drinker or anything like that or whatever. So it's like I like just kind of putting myself into perspective. Like, that's one of the good things I'm trying to teach my kids now. Having a good childhood and, growing up and, being happy for the most part, it definitely is beneficial when you start dealing with more troublesome situations when you get older, man. It definitely can help kind of, balance you out. Because I always feel like that when I'm dealing with troublesome stuff, relationship stuff, whatever. I think about, damn, man, I'm happy I had a good life, though. I'm happy like I, optimistic, glass half full kind of person and shit or whatever. But yeah, I'm noticing that as I'm getting older, man. It's interesting. Interesting. But all right, man. Yeah, it's definitely been great talking to you, man. Thank you so much for coming on the Beeline.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Like I said, I had no clue that I was going to be talking in this direction. But I will tell you this for a fact, your audience, besides yourself, your audience, they needed to hear what I had to say. I know there's a lot of people are saying, wow, that totally makes sense. So people needed to hear what they needed to hear.
I bet, man. I bet. Well, Beeline, hope you guys heard it. And Artie said it loud and clear for y'all. But if you guys need them, I've got all of his descriptions down here in the description box where it goes. But we're going to let him go for the night, and we're going to make sure we say this to y'all as well. Stay true. Stay positive. Pay attention to everything going on, and love your loved ones. That's love your loved ones, man. And make sure you're doing good in life, man. Just stay happy. Find what makes you happy. And, if you can find somebody who can match that and be happy with you throughout the changes, throughout the problems, throughout the situations, make it happen, because you only get one time on this earth, and that's all you got. Love you guys so much. Stay true, stay positive, pay attention. We out.